first best of 5?
I believe I was in the room when the bans went through and Reedy banned Doc's Hardpoint. So that is not something they want to play against them here. We know they've scrimmed a little bit, so that could be part of it. They might have just got railed on that particular map. But
probably did.
Here we go. Stage 2, Division A underway. Red Reserve, Epsilon. For Red, looking to prove they are the top team in the game with a new addition of Scraps. And for Epsilon, showing they can compete throughout this next month.
No, definitely so. We look at the meta so far. It's looking like 3 subs on St. Marie Dumont. Rated there. He's able to find 3 with the bar. That's a great start for him. But there's Dave, that new sub. He's going to get traded out and pretty much is back and forth trading. But, I mean, Red Reserve, they have early control.
Well, I know a conversation you and I had a lot is after this meta shift, and we saw it get back to, God, similar to like Dallas, right? Like a lot of 2 ARs. How long would it take till maybe we saw 3 subs back in? And talking to the Epsilon guys, they said it's already starting to happen. Like, they've been running 3 subs in a lot more maps. You won't necessarily see 2 bars coming out everywhere, but I think at least in the first couple of weeks, Joe, it's going to be team dependent. Like, we're going to see a lot of different comps, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely so. I think Valkyrie will stay consistent 3 subs.
Yeah.
The big questions will probably be London, Docks, and St. Marie, because that's where we saw 3 subs have a lot of impact. For the most part, Gibraltar on Enforced have been 2 AR, 2 subs. And you can see right there, Reedy, he's got infantry bar. Doesn't have a scope on. He's got that iron sight, but you can see he's got a long barrel. He's got a bayonet, or he doesn't have long barrel. He has a bayonet and extended mags.
We'll see what he's able to do with that, but nice lead here opening up the game for Red Reserve. Epsilon, though, going to be set up inside of the winery lot. Joe, though, here he comes trying to make the play. Talked about the fact that he's going to be that secondary AR. Right now, though, it's going to be PPSH in hand. Next guy in, that's a kill you got to trade.
No, definitely so. Zero loses that one out to Dave. Dave able to find 2. Rated, though, in a great position. The Epsilon guys, they have to get pushed out. There's Vortex, 7 and 4. Great start from him. But Joe responds right away with 2 of his own. He's such a good SMG player. That's what we talked about, why the medics are sort of that role switch can be a bit odd, because Joe's been that guy for Red Reserve for a very long time.
It'll be interesting to see the differences, because right now you have 2 ARs on Epsilon, although Reedy right now with that stacked bar can kind of operate like a sub in some ways, but you do see on the other end of it 3 subs out for Red Reserve. So we'll have to see throughout the course of this game maybe where players start to find an edge with a little bit of the difference there between the 2 compositions.
Definitely
it's nice though, because we don't see different comps that often, at least before what, the first 6 months of this year.
Exactly that. Epsilon, you can see they're trying to break this hill. They're going to try and push through this back stable, but Zero's here. He's able to find 1, and every single time they get a kill, you see 3 go down. Look how far Epsilon spawns out. Hockey has to try and find a kill, not able to do so. That'll slow down the Epsilon push. Such a great job by Red Reserve to get pushed out. That's why you have a guy like Scraps get picked up on this roster.
And do you know, when I talked to Maddie, I talked to Scraps about, him maybe not being the secondary AR when we know how strong he can be in that role. Most of his career has been an AR in hand. He said, no, they brought me on this team to be that aggressive, dominant sub, and that's what I'm going to do. He's 10 and 4 right now on a 4 streak, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, he just wants to prove himself, right? Like, this is the first time that he's gotten onto a Tier 1 EU team, right? Splice and Red Reserve have really been those 2 teams in Europe, the top 2, always fighting back and forth. Scraps was never on those rosters, right? Scraps was never there. He's been on teams like Unilad, teams like Fnatic, trying to get picked up. Finally does. This is a huge opportunity for him, because if he doesn't take advantage of it, well, then the Scraps experiment doesn't work out. Maybe he never gets another shot like this.
That's very true. We'll see what he can continue to do. Leading the way on the other side is going to be Vortex. Now, we talked about Reedy maybe with some added pressure going to be that flex player on this team. Now, he's struggling at 2 and 10. Now, we've seen him with the bar in hand. The other side, he's been going up against 3 subs. Do you think maybe that's part of the reason you see the struggles? How do you see it?
I mean, yeah, it's obviously tough. 3 and 11. If you're going to run a secondary AR, you should be picking up kills at least. Maybe you'll be a bit slower, but the kills should come easier. But the subs of Red Reserve are just getting pushed out, where it's making it too hard. And you can see there's Scraps able to find 3 once again. 16 and 7 on a 5 spree, getting very close to some streaks himself. And this is the potential of this pickup, right? This is exactly what they wanted.
Exactly. This is what you expect the power of this team to be when you add that extra slaying prowess that you get from Scraps. And right now, close to streaks. We'll see if he's able to pick him up. The call is going to come in. He's getting hit from top and the backside. He challenges the top, able to win the gunfight. And now very, very close to full streaks. Just 75 off that fighter pilot. Just looking for the opening to tack on more, but man, he's dominating right now.
Oh, he definitely is. If you look at the rest of the scoreboard, well, he finds 2 more. Rated finds 2. You have Joe at 13 and 9. You have Rated 11 and 9. I mean, 0, 6 and 9 just hanging out. They're winning by 80 points. He's just having a solid game, doing what he needs to do. Scraps, though, wants to show off a little bit, right? Yeah. His first game under Red Reserve.
Welcome back to the CWL Pro League. Welcome to Red Reserve. Scraps putting on a show, but it's Dave, the other new sub on the side of Epsilon, that's able to win that gunfight and finally slow down the monster streak. But right behind him is Rated. Rated had 6 in a row, and he got a couple of streaks to go there. So now you've got, what, 5 streaks on the side of Red. That's gonna, you already have a 100+ point advantage.
And they know where Reedy is as well. You can see they're all hunting for him. Reedy, though, he's gonna cut back towards Wine. Rated trying to find him, but Reedy, I mean, he gives up those spawns. No, the streaks were in, so now he has to try and break with his team. You can still see Hockey, he has a bar. Reedy still has one as well. And, well, that's a gunfight you have to win. You have to win those fights.
When you see 3 subs on their side and he's still got this bar out, do you start to consider maybe pulling out a sub if you're Reedy?
I think when you're 3-11, you probably start to consider it. Just not a good game from him. I mean, the side of Hockey, the other AR, not a terrible game at 10-13, but they are just getting blown out of the water. There's Joe able to find 2 more, and look how far they get pushed out. Look where Epsilon is spawning. I mean, Red Reserve is just controlling every aspect of this game.
And that is what makes this Red Reserve team so dangerous, too, because we know what Joe can do with a sub in hand. If he's going to be making plays with the AR on other maps as well, if he's going to be a maybe much more dominant flex than we expected, wow, this Red team is going to be terrifying.
Now, we have to say it, though, right? Not very high expectations for Epsilon, right? Like, I'd love to see Red Reserve versus, I guess, any other of the teams in the division.
It's a Red warm-up to kick off.
It definitely is. Like, this is a warm-up game for them, but they want to prove a point. Joe, he's earning some streaks himself.
This is a slaughter, Joe.
Yes, it is. Streaks are going to be called in. They're going to try and finish it on this parking lot hill. And, I mean, besides that second hill of the game, Winery, where Epsilon controlled it, they only have 30 points since that moment.
You had an 8 streak from Scraps, 8 in a row now for Joe. Rated popped off with 6 earlier as well. The slang so lopsided. The scoreline reflects that. The final ticks are in, and Red blows Epsilon off the map in game 1.
That is why they picked up Scraps right there. That is it. I mean, everybody on Red Reserve played so well. Their teamwork seemed to be on point. Here's a little 3-piece from Rated in the hill. That's the power of the bar.
Yeah, that's basically how the game started, right? Him cutting down 3 there. But, you know, one thing I did like, and not that their comms were bad necessarily, but we know that Red and company would get a little tilted at times. Like, they'd bicker. We'd hear that sometimes just from us from the caster booth. And when I walked by them, though, earlier, you know how kind of contagious Scraps' personality is, like his laugh and joking. Like, when we went up there, I walked by, and it was just all laughs, all jokes. And yes, that's partially a honeymoon period type thing, but you do go from a guy in Josh that you always consider, at least I consider, kind of serious in a way, to now Scraps, who's kind of the more of a jokester, more loose. Like, it was interesting to see the dynamic.
It's just a different personality, and I think a guy like Scraps, where Josh and Rated may butt heads at times. You know, maybe Rated says to Scraps, do this, and he's just like, sure, that's what I'll do. I'll do whatever I have to need to do to make this team work. I'll listen to you. Again, this is his first time on a team like this, surrounded by talent that he has.
And I asked him on Hot Mic. You know, I kind of made that clear. Like, listen, this is your first big chance on like a tier 1 team. Like, do you feel some added pressure? And he was just like, no, I just got to do my thing. Keep doing what I've been doing. And when it boils down to it, just keep going out there and playing like you have been. You're going to be just fine. But Scraps, what a debut here on LAN for the Pro League as he puts up a doozy there statistically and completely takes over the game. But again, I don't want to, I know you can easily say as fans that we're kind of overhyping this team they're playing Epsilon right now, but still, it's the first time we're seeing them on LAN, and it looked damn good.
Yeah, I mean, from here on out for the rest of these next 2 weeks that we're going to see Division A, they're going to be playing much tougher competition. That's when we'll really get to judge them. Obviously, you heard the guys on the desk. If Epsilon was going to have a chance, it was going to be this game 2. I believe it's London Docks Search and Destroy, a map where we've seen tons of Epsilon on it, and you know, you're a new roster in Red Reserve. Where's the one game mode you're going to struggle? It's going to be Search and Destroy. And
you know, Red is a team I think in the past that we've really liked in Search and Destroy, but when you have a new guy come in, I think Scraps even mentioned, I think on Hot Mic he said, he's like, respawns are like not really that worried about. Like, we'll be good. It's just can we get the search figured out? And sometimes that takes a little time. I mean, we've seen
how important Search and Destroy has been this year.
Yeah, but we've seen top teams really struggle with it at times during the league. Luminosity comes to mind during Stage 1, where they had that couple-week period where they were getting beat up in Search, but it also helped them fix a lot of their problems. How much scarier for you is Red if they come in and they look dominant in Search right away, though?
No, I mean, that's a great sign. I mean, when you just talk about the roster, you have great Search and Destroy players. We've seen Zero just go off, especially on that USS Texas, where they always try and set him up. A guy like Rated, he believes he's one of the best Search and Destroy players in the world. So there's a ton of pieces to work with on the Red Reserve side. It's just can they get going together, and how early can that happen?
All right, let's talk about the other side a little bit. We talked about the fact that there is a bit of a role change now with Reedy in the flex, Hockey main AR, Dave running the sub. Did they get beat too badly there in game one for you to really have any takeaways?
Yeah, I think that's just it. Just slaying wasn't even there, but we obviously saw it. They went with the 2 bars on St. Marie, and where Red Reserve went with 3 PPSHs. So, I mean, maybe that was the issue, but when they were set up, you think when you're set up with 2 ARs and a hardpoint, it should be easier to lock down. The issue comes breaking those hardpoints, right? If Red Reserve is winning rotations, it's much harder because you have to run into smaller choke points where the guys with PPSHs are just going to cut you down. So they have to win rotations. Red Reserve was out rotating them, and they get blown out.
All right, well, let's get into game 2 and see if Epsilon can answer back here and search and destroy after getting thumped in that game 1. And for Red, this will be, I think, for everyone, since a lot of these teams, well, all of these teams don't really scrim search. This will be the first time we've seen this foursome come together on search and destroy. Yeah,
potentially so. Obviously, some teams, I've heard some teams have practiced search and destroy. I know EG does like to do it. I don't know about the EU
I hadn't seen
side.
It, yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the EU side. If they do scrim search and destroy, it's typically off stream, A little challenge, a little wager back and forth just to get the blood flowing. But here we go. You see Scraps, he's going to work towards this lower A. Epsilon, they're going to push this side. Nice shots, just going to back that player on up. But you see what Epsilon's doing. They have Reedy in that middle barrel room, and as you said, Scraps finds that first blood onto Vortex with that nade.
Nice job just tucking it through that window to get the first blood. Rated takes the next gunfight. Looked like one he was going to take, but Hockey, the new main AR on this Epsilon side, able to win it. Zero gets a couple shots in, re-peaks and challenges. That one's going to go his way.
That was just an easy gunfight for Zero, right? He was kind of like, oh, Reedy's just kind of running at me. So what Reedy did is he started this round, in barrel room, and he just hit middle of the map, was trying to find an opening, maybe go on a late flank to open something up for Epsilon, but he takes that risk, loses the gunfight. Now it's a 2v3 in favor of Red, and Zero finds Hockey.
Dave will be the last man, and one thing, spoke to Raid a little bit about the new roles kind of for Red Reserve, and when I asked him kind of why Zero wasn't maybe the guy running the flex, because we've seen him obviously with an AR in hand, we know he's a very versatile player. He said it came down to him kind of over-challenging at times. Like, he takes gunfights he shouldn't, and that can punish you a lot more with an AR when you're in, good spots versus when you're flying around the sub. If you play a little bit more with your ego, it's not as big of a deal. So that's why they felt more comfortable with this, which I found interesting. It just kind of surprised me to hear the breakdown of how Joe got in that position.
We may not see it today, but I'm looking forward to that, right? Where if they go to an Arden Forest, maybe game 4, you'll see Joe as the second AR. That's something that I definitely want to watch with Red Reserve.
That's one of the things I'm more excited to see. If you talk about just Red, that single thing is what I'm most excited to see, just because it surprised me so much when I first started.
Yep, so you have Red Reserve. They win that first defensive round, so their turn to attack, and it looks like they're leaning towards this B bomb site. Vortex, though, threw a stun over, gained some information. He has some help from Dave towards that back site, and then you have Reedy on that middle statue watching across.
Smoke out. Cross no longer able to be watched. It looks like he wants to crawl on in, and he gets the vision there through the corner of the smoke. Nice kill. Frustration for Rated and Red Reserve as the pick comes in.
Yeah, definitely selling. Obviously, you have to talk about maybe Rated running that bomb, right? Maybe it's a guy like Joe who normally does it. Maybe that's even something you have to pay attention to, where it's very frustrating for a guy like him if he's new in that position, because when you're the bomb planner, you're going to die a good amount, right? Like, that is going to hurt your KD because you're going to get caught out in situations like that.
Let's see what Scraps is now able to do in this 1v3. Tucked away in a corner. He doesn't have a ton of time to make the play. Can't win the first gunfight. He will drop. Round Epsilon now will be tied up at 1 apiece. But for you, what was the biggest moment of that particular round?
That first blood, where Reedy was just able to, peek through gate. Obviously, Zero was watching the gate, but just couldn't have that angle. The smoke doesn't cover every single part of that. That's just that's grenade mistake right there.
What do you try to do? Like, if you have your guy die on bomb, then you're in a 3v4 on that particular site. What are your options?
You have to find a kill. Try to even it out, make it a 3 versus 3. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you could go and try and plant the bomb, but maybe they only have one smoke, so they can't re-smoke that gate and get it down. Because we've seen a lot of times teams who plant B able to clutch up 3v4s, 2v4s.
If you get it down.
Power positions, yeah. Right.
Well, last time, it was Scraps from the opposite window that was able to get that first kill. This time, they're not taking the gunfight, but you can see on the minimap, he is still in that same position. So it's going to be, Dave and Vortex kind of working together on this side of the map to get it down. This time, Scraps is the one back down. Can his grenade connect? Is it deep? A little bit deep. Won't kill Scraps.
It might have hit him as well. You saw Scraps' figure actually flinch a little bit.
Well, it might have just been the shots that were in were all wall bangs, so
yeah,
tag him up.
Nice shots right there out of Scraps. Beams Vortex off the bomb. And once again, first blood over to that defensive team. And it looks like another round for Red Reserve. Well, he goes for a swim. That's a nice shot right there.
That was didn't matter, but it was nice.
Style points.
Well, actually, had Scraps. Oh, no, never mind. Died in the previous round. I was going to say, for some reason, that took him out of it. But for Epsilon right now, Scraps has obviously got a couple first bloods on that side. He's been handling A. Anything you can maybe change up for the Epsilon side?
Yeah, I think they've known that 2 players go towards lower A. The one player that they do know of that plays towards B is Zero, and here's that last kill. Hockey goes for it, and, well, he goes down as soon as it ends. But, yeah, I mean, they know they've put no pressure on B. They don't even know if someone plays middle, right? Because Reedy just went right down it that one round. So we'll have to see how Epsilon makes some adjustments on their next attack. Well,
last time Red Reserve got picked off of that B bomb site while trying to get the bomb down. This time you can see the bomb is shifted over towards A, but unfortunately, it's Reedy now. So what? Scraps has 2 first bloods. Reedy
has 2.
Wait, didn't? I thought Scraps got the first. Oh, Reedy to get the kill right before he picked him off the bomb. So Reedy actually has one of them. Never mind. But Reedy does have the 2 on his side. So all the first bloods have basically gone to your defense here through the first 4 rounds.
Yeah, but you saw what Rated just did. Basically what Reedy was trying to do in round number 1, just go through that B gate and find the guy who was playing solo. Now you have a 2 versus 2. Where is the trade on the Zero? Finally, it comes in from Reedy. A great job out of him at 3 and 3. Now we have Rated in a 1v2.
Nice shots. That gives him a chance in this. Over 30 seconds to work with. 1 versus 1. If Reedy gets to a safe position, so much more difficult with how spread out they are. But now, Rated at least, believes he's got this side cleared out as he hits him on the cross. Why would, Reedy be heading this direction if they had it covered? Rated now inching his way forward. 15 seconds left to work with. Hockey has wrapped all the way then through to mid-map.
I imagine Hockey probably thinks he went to B. He's going to check B first. No, he's not. So he's going to go straight towards that A site with 5 seconds. And Zero's not even going to go for the bomb. Yeah, Hockey's just going to wait for it. And there you go. It pays off.
Wow. All right. So is that one of those situations that's maybe kind of a coin flip for Rated?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a 50-50 for both players, right? Obviously, Rated is thinking Hockey's going to flank the bomb. I've always been a player that's just planted it right away, right? Never fight against the clock because you have to give yourself another opportunity. If Hockey was to check that B bomb, you get it planted, now you're in an advantage, right? You have the bomb down, he has to defuse.
So if it's you get that bomb down.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we'll see if that round bites him. It's now going to be tied up at 2-2. Scraps, who has been dominant on this site, playing a little bit differently this time, getting a little bit more aggressive now towards the window as his teammates got some information for him. Obviously, the pressure for Epsilon mounting towards B, and this might be a change-up because they've just been getting shut down at A over and over again.
Yeah, but look at the rotation already. You have Raiden and Joe starting to rotate towards this B street as soon as those nades come in, and Zero's just staying alive, waiting for help. A lot of pressure on him. Joe actually goes down. Vortex able to find the second.
Wow.
And there we go. Great offensive round for Epsilon.
Well, they rotated.
They did. Rotated. They were all there.
They all got dropped. So now it'll just be Scraps.
He's going for a swim.
Yeah, he's been doing great on this side of the map. Won't get there to really get involved in the action on the opposite side. Nothing he could do in that round. What kind of fell apart for Red? Because like you said, they got the rotation there, but nothing worked out.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Joe got picked off by Vortex, but Zero was so weak behind that box he couldn't peek. He was basically just waiting for his health to regen.
It looked like he should have saw the guy on the left when he first pushed up to the box, but by the way he played it, he definitely didn't see him moving forward.
But Joe got picked off by Vortex, so a good round out of Vortex to find 2. And every single first blood so far throughout this game, the team has won that round. So have to watch those first bloods.
That was the first one on offense, I believe, for any of these teams. So that'll be what puts Epsilon now out in front. Stun out for Vortex. He's going to get some information there as the pressure building from Red Reserve. Rated, able to get that first pick, but will be traded out by Reedy almost immediately. And now we'll just kind of take a look at that minimap and see the spread you have on the defensive side for Epsilon.
Yeah, the key player for Red Reserve is that number 8, Scraps. He's pushed up towards that lights building. Right, just getting pushed up towards the defensive side. Looks like he's trying to make a play. But you have Vortex in that deep pocket. Yeah, he throws that stun out. That might hit him, right? So there's that information that he needs. And look at that. As soon as that happens, they smoke out gate, and the bomb carrier immediately pushes up. But once again, Reedy is snuck up towards that gate area. He may get a kill. Oh, no. not able to get it.
Oh, that looked like such a frustrating spot for Rady. He's like,
Yeah.
do I try to take out the guy not on bomb? Then he tries to snap across, and that's a difficult gunfight, obviously, when you're tucked behind it. But things fall apart for Epsilon. It's now all going to be on Hockey. Joe in from behind, able to pick up the kill. Back and forth we go here, Red and Epsilon.
It's one of those things where it requires a lot of teamwork, a lot of communication, but I would have loved to seen this guy, Hockey. He was back B Street. If he just takes some shots at, I believe it was Scraps who's on that box, Scraps has to focus on him. Maybe that gives Reedy just an inch or two to move up and get an angle on the bomb carrier and allows him to make a play. But you saw what Reedy was trying to do, just too many targets. As soon as he starts shooting at Scraps on the right, the bomb gets planted. He knows he's in trouble.
Was that a timing issue kind of for Epsilon there then?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a good opportunity out of Reedy, just not able to execute.
Zero, I was about to say, looking to cover Joe. He gives him a couple bullets as he crosses there, but not going to hurt him. Rated with another first blood. That's going to be his third, and this time, no trade immediately from the Epsilon side. So up 4 versus 3 in man count, and Scraps once again able to get to an aggressive spot here on the window. And that's going to allow Rated to kind of wrap back and maybe help mid, help towards B, because once Scraps gets to this position, he's got a lot he can do.
Yeah, definitely so. And you even look at the B site, right? Like, Joe is all the way on the back if you look at the mini-map. He knows they're headed towards A. He's just making sure there's no late flanks on that B street. You have Zero watching top middle. There we go, able to find Reedy. Great timing out of him. Now it's a 4v2. Scraps winning that one-on-one. Should be able to clean up this last kill. Great round out of Red.
Really, really well done from Red. I know this has been really back and forth, obviously. This game's been very, very close, but knowing this is one of the first times we've seen Red play Search and Destroy, is there anything in particular that's kind of stood out about the team?
I mean, it just seems like solid teamwork, especially on defense. Obviously, we haven't seen too much from the offensive teams. I believe each team has 1 round so far, so we'll see if Red Reserve can win 2 in a row here.
This might be an odd question, but like when you are I may have asked this before. I ask a lot of questions. But when you're a new team, and you're trying to figure out Search, is there one that's inherently harder, like offense or defense, or it doesn't really matter too much?
I mean, I feel like it doesn't matter too much. I think throughout sort of testing it, you'll realize where your weakness is, right? Whether it is that offense or defense. One side of that may just be easier to that roster.
I was just curious. Like I never really thought about that. There's like one that's kind of a little bit more tricky to figure out with a new squad. I love picking your brain, Joe.
Yeah.
Just a wonderful brain.
Thanks.
We'll see what Rated can do here. Is very sneaky. He's just right behind Vortex. Still can see his foot. Now he removes it. One more mid-map. Reads him like a book, but Hockey able to win the gunfight there. Rated drops, and now it's a 2v3. That bomb is still planted. One just hopped across to it, but Zero's got the vision here from underground.
He's at the peak of the end.
Here comes. Oh, he actually sniped from the side. He doesn't have an angle. He's got to fly out, but Joe's able to make the play. Joe cuts down the last as well. Sick clutch there. Is Red able to get it done as things got a little bit scary once Zero didn't have the angle on it.
No, it definitely did, but once again, Joe wins a one-on-one. He's able to find the second who is defusing that bomb, and there's, even if Joe was to go down there's only 8 seconds left. Dave's not going to get to that bomb. And that's what we talked about with that B site. You know, in a situation where they have a 3v4, they get the bomb down. It was a great play out of Rated to sneak in that corner, but they're still able to execute in a 2v3 with the man down.
And that might be the crucial round, right? That gets them to number 5. Only one more round needed, and they're already up 4-2 in this one. What was such a close game throughout the course of most of it, Red is just taken over down the stretch. Let's see. They can take it here. Hockey eliminated. Now, Epsilon's hopes and dreams for game 2 all going to fall on Reedy, and he is gone. Red take a 2-0 advantage. And what actually ended up being kind of convincing fashion, at least once you look at the final round count.
I mean, it was 3-3, and then right from there, Red win 3 in a row. And I think the big thing for Epsilon is what they won 1 offense. And you think from a team who's been together for a good amount, we didn't see much from them, right? If it was a low A, if they didn't get a first blood low A, there was nothing, right? Their B attack failed, really tried to do something through the middle of the map, but every single time their offense was just cut down.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it earlier when you said the defense from Red was really standing out. It was. I mean, there didn't look to be many holes in that many gaps. The only time they lost was that one offensive push from Epsilon where the rotation came in and they just kind of fell apart. But outside of that, I mean, it looked like just a wall that was the defense there for Red.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting because a lot of the times on London Dosh, you see 3 or 4 man hits, especially on offense, right? Especially B Street, even low A. It felt like Epsilon, every time they went low A, it was 2 guys towards the window, one middle, one watch and flank. Like, not a lot of plays developing. They got to step one, which was set up, right? Run our default strategy. There was nothing developed after that. They had no way to execute onto that site because Scraps was just there in that window.
Well, Epsilon unable to get it done in the hard point or the search and destroy. It's going to be CTF coming up next in this first best of 5 to kick off Division A for Stage 2. If you're with us, tweet the stream. We got plenty of incredible matches remaining today. We'll be right back after this quick break. We are back. It is the CWL Pro League at Stage 2. We've got all the big ones left, guys. Stage 2, playoffs, Anaheim, champs. And right now we're kind of getting our first look, or second look, depending on when they made the change, at some of these teams that went through Roster Mania. Red Reserve, a team that went through a change. Epsilon, a team that didn't. So far, Red, I mean, we expected them to be superior regardless of a roster change, but they're looking very good, Joe.
No, they definitely are. I mean, they absolutely destroyed on St. Mary Dumont. London Docks was pretty back and forth until about midway point where it was 3-3, and then Red Reserve just won the final 3 rounds. Then we're on game 3. Flak Tower CTF gonna hop on board. It looks like Scraps, who's already got a kill.
Yeah, unfortunately, what we were kind of excited for, to kind of see these new roles from Red. At least with this map set, it doesn't look like we're likely going to see that. Because I'm assuming Joe is still going to have a PPSH in his hands throughout the course of this. But something to keep in mind throughout the week, just to see how he does in that flex role.
Definitely so. There you go. So yeah, he does have a PPSH. You have
this map, not shocked.
No, definitely not so. And if you're a team like Epsilon, you're happy you made it back to stage 2. You're obviously Seattle performance, top 24, I think Chan said. They won like 1 map. But through relegation, they got here, right? And then your first game back, you're trying to gain some momentum, and Red's just not allowing that to happen.
Well, it's interesting, too, because you got to think, if you started really poor Friday, which a lot of teams did, even like Rise Nation started kind of poor on Friday.
Seattle was weird.
I feel like people didn't really figure out how to play the new meta very well until, honestly, like halfway through Saturday. So if you're one of those teams that came out and got smoked right away, well, tough. They were in trouble.
And you got to think, too, for Epsilon, who's just trying to get better for maybe towards the end of the year. Wow. Nice player there for Hockey with that pre-fire, able to find 2, but you're just trying to get better, and these teams just aren't allowing that. It just feels like there's no improvement whatsoever from them.
Yeah. And, we kept thinking maybe this is the time of the year where it starts to click, but...
What did Dave say, April?
Yeah, but Scraps did mention on Hot Mic, they basically said, if it wasn't for relegation, the fact they got locked in with his roster, there would have been a change, 100%. He said there would have been a change, he thinks there's similar to maybe a Splice type scenario where there's some chemistry issues, maybe some people not wanting to play with somebody else.
I was surprised they got through relegation.
Yeah, I don't know. That's fair. That is fair. I don't think you'd be the only one.
No.
But they're here. They've earned their spot. Now the question for most of us is can they play spoiler? Are they going to get some upsets on teams that maybe you don't expect them to get the victory? Obviously, not the best start here through versus Red, but they're still in this game 3 as no one's been able to get anything on the board yet.
Yeah, and you can see right now a very, very slow flat tower, right? We're about 2 minutes in, and it seems like both teams are at a standstill, but there's Joe. He's able to win that gunfight. See, maybe he just goes for a flagpole. He knows there's still 3 alive. There's Vortex in the back corner. He shuts him down, but now Scraps is there. Right, there's that aggression out of him, but big wins out of Vortex. Now the pressure on the Red Reserve base.
Here comes the touch.
Oh, that spawn, so unfortunate. I think he was trying to cancel it. That's why he ran that way at that angle, but Joe just spawns up, able to get that, get that kill.
That's what's tough about this map. It is very, very tough to get them out of those deep spawns at times. It looked like he was really close to that position, but maybe just needed a couple more feet or an extra second, and he would have been able to make the play. But Red Reserve in control of this series. They're up 2-0. We're loving what we're seeing from the new roster. And I want to toss it to an Astro Gaming listening.
Yeah, it would have been probably there in there, probably.
Right, tagged one there, but on mid as well. Tagged. I hit him with a bullet on the right. One was outside there mid as well.
I'm gonna go right. I'm coming round.
Mid. He could have been from mid. Dead. Go on, we're looking at one. Dave's off spawn. We're looking at spawn. Right. Steve.
Go last.
Steve was gonna be sneaking.
Yeah, Bruce got that kill off him.
Okay. Back, Matt. That's him, bro. Some top gun.
Back of the base.
Don't check in the back. He's our top gun, mate. He's our top gun. I need a top gun, Matt.
You think we go top one as well?
You could run off.
Top one. He's weak. I seen twice.
I'm holding out right. Still top. Good push out mid now. Mate, dead our top gun.
One outside the mid, but
You get a kill. Pull Jens.
Look for Billy, Reedy and Dave.
On the ground. Jen's tagged.
I'll win your mask.
He's wrap back. Just outside their mid. Dave's just outside their mid. On the ground, dead.
Nice.
Dave's in their mid.
on the right. Right dead.
Dave's in their mid. And then Steve was off front.
The two mid, both there.
Does he go?
Weak vortex. Gun, Jen, to the building.
Overall thoughts on the comms you heard from Red Reserve?
I thought it was solid. I think the big play was you kept hearing him. You know, Steve-O's our top gun. We have to find Steve-O. He's the last guy. Steve-O, that's Vortex. They were just trying to find him, and you saw two players in their base trying to find him, right? Just making sure, counting players. Hey, this guy just spawned. We need to find Vortex. We know he's sneaky, right? That's exactly what you want to hear in a map like this because, I mean, a couple of players go down, one guy sneaks. That's a fly cap, right? We've seen it time and time again. If you let one player slip on by, he can make a huge play. For Red Reserve now, they're starting to attack Hockey. The last guy left, able to find scraps. And no scores on the board for either team.
Sometimes CTF is not about who makes the bigger or better play. It's who doesn't make the mistake.
Mistakes, yeah.
And they were doing a good job trying to make sure that didn't happen. One thing to kind of talk about as we get about to head into the halfway point, you did point this out, and he still has it. We do see Airborne Instincts on zero right now. We hadn't seen maybe a lot of that, well, any of that really at Seattle. Not too much in scrims. What are your thoughts on seeing it here?
Yeah, so the big thing is obviously pro players when the division changes came in. Pro players weren't a big fan of gung-ho on Airborne, and well, Sledgehammer, they heard that. shout outs to them. You know, listen to the feedback. They removed Gung Ho, you know, from that division in esports mode. So now you'll see players running airborne a little bit more. And then Instincts, what that does is obviously with the change, everyone has a stun grenade now. They added onto that basic training that you can't get stunned. So that's why you see that. But so he can get naded.
Can't get naded. But all right, we'll see. He's the only person we've really seen pull that out yet, but curious to see if maybe we'll see it more and more. You think there's any main reason he is doing it when we haven't seen it a lot?
I mean, obviously, when you talk about speed, we've said it time and time again for years. The faster you are, the more pressure you can put on the map, the more opportunities you can give yourself, right? So that's the way he's going. We talked to some players. We may see it more. You think about the game types that really 1 or 2 seconds makes all the difference. The big one to me is search and destroy, right? Those routes that you can get to a position, win a certain gunfight. So I imagine we'll see a little bit more airborne, especially guys like Pharaoh or Kenny, guys who are search and destroy stars who really know how to open things up on the map.
Well, here we go. Flag is going to be out. Day's going to have it in hand. He's a one-on-one gunfight he may have to take. It's actually going to be cutting back through mid. He's going to get picked off, but Flag is out on the opposite side as well. Both players going to drop, though, for Red Reserve. This looks like it more than likely will be a cap. There's the dive. There's the score. Epsilon suddenly alive and well in this series.
Oh, they definitely are. And Vortex, he's not slowing down. He's able to spot Joe. He's trying to get a nice kill right here. He's just pre-firing this corner. Joe's just messing with him. Nice job right there at Joe as he beams him off that position. But now you have Dave starting to move up a little bit. And Dave, he's been quiet throughout this series, but he's starting to step up at 12-7 on a 4 spree.
Can he get more streaks here is the question. Not the most ample of gunfights to take there with Ray to kind of have a little bit of cover there to work with the angle of that slope.
I mean, you have an STG in that position. We know how strong that elbow with those sandbags can be, right? You know you're one-off streaks. Yes, you're trying to get another flag, but hey, come on. I mean, I'll take 3 streaks. Maybe he should have slowed down there. He had no help.
The pressure, though, continues to fly in from Red Reserve. This is the first, or sorry, from Epsilon. This is the first time we've really seen Red look vulnerable at any point throughout the course of this series. They still have 3 minutes to work with. Not out of it at all. There's only really 1 streak on the side of Epsilon, but obviously the dominant form we've seen from Red hasn't really showed here on this particular map. Any thoughts to why that might be?
I mean, I think if you look at the slaying, you have Joe at 7-14. He's slowed down a little bit. Raiden and Scraps as well. Really, just the slaying of Epsilon has stepped up. You can tell every single time that Red Reserve sort of starts to get pushed up, they leave one behind. They have to worry about them. They can't leave their base, as we were just talking about. You know, you heard during that listening. They're always trying to be aware of someone in their base, but maybe they're being a little bit too protective.
I think what's interesting to point out, too, is, you know, Dave was the main AR, Hockey was the main sub. They swapped those roles completely, and now Dave and Hockey both having great games. 13-9 from Dave with a streak. Hockey's 16-11 right now, so both guys in those new roles going off.
Oh, definitely so. And I mean, again, you look at the side of Red Reserve, that's always been sort of the issue at times at Red is Joe in that slaying category, right? He can have games like this. But the thing is they're never out of it. It just seems like he can make one play, tie this game up, and it's like it never happened.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the reason he gets Scraps in the team.
Yeah.
It helps carry those games. Like, you can maybe have a little bit of a dud KD-wise come out of Joe, and it might not matter as much. But right now, certainly could be a factor. Is Red Reserve just trying to get out of their base and apply any kind of forward momentum, but talking about aggressive positioning, yeah, it's been all Epsilon, and Dave's doing a hell of a job right now.
Just feels like Red's just been stuck, and he's going to find that last player. That's a big 2 kills. What did I just say out of Joe, right? He makes one play, makes a play like this, and now this gives Red Reserve an opportunity to counter cap. That's a big kill out of Vortex. But you can see Rated, he's going right for a pull, trying to make a stalemate situation, but that is the glide bomb being called in. Can he find anything? It doesn't look like it.
Rated did get dropped, though, pretty much immediately as soon as that was called in. Scraps still in position. Joe picks up a kill, and now you've got an opportunity. There's 2 players then hitting out front. Scraps trying to look for it. Dave, though, once again, Dave gets all 3. Dave has been a beast. There's the 2nd score, and that's more than likely the hopes of the sweep here for Red Reserve going down the drain.
Hey, we'll get to see Joe run a 2nd AR in Ardent Forest. Unless something crazy happens, there's still a minute left. We have seen crazier things. Still a lot of time for Red Reserve, but just, again, the slaying. Hockey 20-14 having a great game, and as you said, Dave stepped up, right? Those 2 players who can be superstars at times. We have seen it. It's just not consistent.
Well, I mean, we've said it about this Epsilon team all year, that it's never really been a lack of skill. And but we say that because we have seen this team get top 3s at big tournaments at Anaheim.
A year ago.
Yes, like, we know they are capable of it. It's just, when the hell is it going to happen? It's more been the question.
Yeah, maybe the last chance right there for Red Reserve to try and get a flag. Gets shut down. Reedy, Dave, and Vortex able to find a kill. Just 20 seconds left. Looks like Epsilon's going to win game number 3.
I think that's big. You know, I talked to the Epsilon guys a little bit upstairs before this, and you know, I was joking with them a little bit, just saying, like, you know, how I view it. It's kind of 7 teams in them right now to fight for top 4, and I did ask them, like, what do you guys need to do if you're going to get top 4? And one of the big things that Vortex said to me is, we need to come out and we need to get some wins early in this first week, in these first 2 weeks.
Map
we have
wins
to
or
do
series wins?
Well, series.
Okay.
Even, I think,
even map wins.
a smaller scale of that, though, is like getting a map win off a team like Red. Like, not coming in and getting, like, imagine if they come in and this map here was like a 6-0, and you just got 3-0 smoked in 45 minutes. Like, that's not the pace you want to set. At least getting a, I don't know, maybe I'm hyping up too much, but I think getting a map win helps, dude. Just a little bit confidence-wise.
Oh, it does. I mean,
especially
you
against
can
this
just
new
tell,
look
right? Like, the energy's there now, right? After the first couple of maps, you look at the Epsilon side, and it's kind of like, oh, we got to do this again for 2 weeks, don't we? Like, just get smoked on the map. But that was a great job by Epsilon.
Well, they get that one, and then what was it? You said it was Arden?
Arden Forest, yeah.
Okay, so this will be interesting to see. Again, the couple of role changes that we saw from either side. We'll see how this is such a different map than you know, something like a St. Marie, like we saw in Game 1. So definitely going to be very, very different there. I think you still have to give the edge to Red Reserve just based on, what was it, 250 to 79 in Game 1?
A lot to it.
Kind of hard to argue that. But if you take a look at it, though, in the Game 1, just the 2 respawns, Game 1 they outslayed by 1,000. In Game 3, that wasn't the case. You know, Epsilon handled it for the most part. So I wonder if Epsilon can maybe ride a little bit of that wave now into Game 4.
Yeah, definitely so. And as we talked about Arden Forest, Hardpoint, we talked about 2 ARs, 2 subs on both sides. So you're going to have Joe running a second sub, and then we'll have to look at the Epsilon side. Will it be Reedy and Hockey? Will you Will you see Dave maybe run it? But
well, from what they told me, it's going to be Reedy and Hockey. But Reedy did have a very tough Game 1, obviously. Now, I don't think you all of a sudden change the roles that you've been working on for weeks leading up to this after one map. But I don't know. We'll see, because you got to think that that's the most interesting matchup of this for me. Reedy as your flex and Joe as your flex. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm sort of looking forward to, is just kind of who wins that battle.
Yeah, and throughout this division, I think there's just going to be so many solid teams that Arden Forest, Hardpoint. I think we're going to see this a lot, right? Like, some of the times in the divisions, the maps sort of played in one way just because the team's play style. I think if you look top to bottom, Arden Forest, Hardpoint just makes sense. You talk about teams like TK, Echo Fox, Evil Geniuses, Red Reserve, right? Like, I feel like we're going to see this map a good amount.
How did it break down in Stage 1? Wasn't it in the first, Division A we saw a ton, then Division B we didn't see like at all or something like that?
That was the CTF. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Division A,
Black Tower and
Division
CTF.
A we saw like Flat Tower and London Docks. Division B it was just like all Arden.
Yeah, that's right. I knew there was one that really stood out to me in Stage 1. It's been a while. It's been a long year. We still have a lot of great action to come. Just waiting on these guys to load into Map 4. And my gut tells me more than likely it's going to end here on this map, but I'd love to kick off Stage 2 with a good Game 5. I mean, Epsilon did have, okay, they had one reverse sweep because they only had 2 victories in Stage 1, but they did reverse sweep EG. They kind of killed EG's playoff hopes with that victory. So they're no stranger to it. It's once. I don't know why I'm making this like, no stranger.
Let's just keep talking about it.
Yeah. It happened one time.
That's why you remember it.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Mostly I remember because Reedy stood up and yelled at Eggs for 5 minutes. That's why I remember it the most.
Oh, yep. And it was their first win.
Yep.
Historic.
Well, they're looking to hopefully tack on that first win well before their final week. All right, here we go. 5 seconds on the clock.
Let's start with Joe. I got to see it. Yep. I got to see the STG shot.
When's the last time we saw Joe with an aim?
I don't know.
Outside
I can't wait. I'm excited. I got to see this, man.
He's still playing fast.
Yeah, he's just sprinting pretty back. Okay, there you go. Nice shots. He's just going to get right on the hill. It's like nothing's changed.
There we go. Right into the hard point. Just trying to see what he can locate. Scrap's going to be able to find an opening there to alleviate a little bit of pressure maybe from the front side of this hard point. So Joe now starts out 2-0. He's also racking up the time as the AR. Scrap's finding the kills towards mid-map. That's exactly what you want for Red.
Yeah, I mean, this is the key guy in this setup, right? If you look at that mini-maps, they have to worry about him, right? Number 8, he's looking at fire. All these guys are starting to rotate over, so you're going to have about a 40-second start already for Red Reserve. Great job out of them, but Scraps is putting so much pressure on them, right? Getting towards that fire alley. The guys trying to come out of bunker, they're just getting pebbled with shots.
Yeah, I mean, feels pretty good when your new guy starts out 6-0. He's between the 2 hard points, he has absolutely been dominating. But you do get a perfect start, 44-0 to kick off Cave. Now, obviously, that allows an opening here for Epsilon to get set up now at Ruins. we'll have to wait and see what they can now do with this opening setup.
Right, with great hardpoint teams or even some of the better hardpoint teams in the world, you have to be able to respond with a solid setup of your own.
Wow.
And well, that just got shut down. And what I mean is, when you have a 44-0 lead, right, where one team dominates the break, that team has to be able to rotate to that second hill and respond and get some points back, but Red Reserve just run on through.
That was actually really funny because as casters, like we obviously, 99% of the time we're looking at the screen, but every now and then we kind of look at each other, right? We're having a conversation, we talk to each other. Like you were saying that sentence and glance at me, and in that half second,
Three just went down. Yeah.
You turn back and the hard point's cleared. That was brilliant. But yes, not ideal for Epsilon here, at least in the opening. But again, they're at least gonna, for right now, have spawns as we head towards bunker. You just can't get, blown out 12 seconds into the hard point.
Definitely so. And I think one interesting thing with the whole Joe running the flex is how many times have we always talked about that AR or this game just plays for ARs to sit in the hill. And if Joe's gonna sit in the hill, he might as well have an STG in his hands. And you can see he's 7-3. He's got 57 seconds on that scoreboard. So a solid start out of him.
Scraps trying to do some work in around Fire Alley yet again. His teammates finding all the kills, though the last man in the back is going to be Hockey, who's at least contesting. Can't contest bullets. He's going to end up dropping, and now Red Reserve once again break through. So the first time Epsilon had early spawns, they got 12 seconds. This time they have not maybe the same level of control, but they have the spawns. They get 2 seconds.
Yeah, but three go down, right? Like 3 go down.
Yeah.
Scraps is the last guy in. You have to be able to break that.
Yeah, they've been cutting through them right now. Very similar to the scenario we saw in the Game 1 hardpoint. It has not been close. Reedy definitely had a much better Game 1. So Reedy we saw struggle, and this time it's Vortex that's really struggling. Like I think wasn't that almost the exact same start we saw from Reedy, like 3-10, 3-11?
Yeah, and that's just been the issue, especially in hardpoint. If Epsilon wants to win games, they have to get better at hardpoint. This is just a game mode where the best teams in the world dominate it, and they have consistent slaying. Like these guys have to step up earlier in this match.
Unless you're Echo Fox at Seattle, who get 4th place and only won like 25% of their hardpoints. But it's pretty rare, though. Yes, it's games 1 and 4. You need to be a solid hardpoint team if you want to compete at the top.
Not just even for momentum, right? Like that game, winning a game of hardpoint, especially in dominating fashion, is just a great feeling for the team. It's just like, yeah, we were just shooting better than them. We're a better team, right? That's just the way it always feels due to the pace of it. But I'm sure that's how Red Reserve's feeling right now.
Oh, I mean, I've talked to players like back. I remember back in, I think it was like Black Ops 3 when it was, and AW when the game got really, really fast. And like as a caster, like hardpoint was hard at times. Like it was just, especially with the instant respawn, and it was just flying around the map. But whenever I talk to players, they're like, "Oh, it's just fun. We just want to go. We just want to go. We want to shoot." And I'm like, "Oh well, that makes sense. You're giving me a headache, but that makes sense."
Definitely so. As we head back over to Cave, the next set of hard points you have rated set up, but you do have Epsilon in the hill. Reedy has that bar, just going to pre-fire around the corner. Does have extended mag, so he's got 30 bullets in his clip. Just trying to do a solid job of staying alive. Still 40 seconds left on it. This could get them right back into the game. And you can see Reedy, he backs out of the hill because he's working on some streaks. 25 points away, able to win that one as well on a rated. Can he find any more? There's just one more player, and they push on through, able to get those points from the hill. Full streaks for rated. And you take this now into Ruins where you can use that to break.
This is huge. Reedy going off 6 in a row, starting to pick it up here for Epsilon. And I think you really saw the power of the bar there.
Okay, I thought he was about to call it in. I was like, no, too early.
Yeah, wait for the guys to rotate a little bit. That's probably, the comms were probably exactly what you just said from his teammates.
No, okay. So Dave's able to find 2. He's going to find rated. That gets cleaned up. He's able to find Joe. There we go. So 4 go down. Now the guys on the hill, they just need to get there, get into that position. They have Hockey set up. Just putting so many bullets into people. You still have Reedy alive, but once again, Red Reserve break on in. You still have Hockey over there, though, but nobody in the hill right now. He's going to call in a glide bomb.
2 streaks already invested here onto Ruins, and they've yet to turn it into any time. If you're going to invest these 2 streaks, yes, it's good that you've mostly kept Red out of the hardpoint. I get that, but you want to turn that into some time as well, especially when investing multiple streaks. Hockey now inside, it's going to be contested, but finally they're getting a little bit to go their way, but kill by kill, trade by trade, it's Red that ends up standing last, but what, there's only 20 or so seconds left.
I think the big thing is that every single time that they got set up or called in a streak, Dave and Vortex got taken down. Those submachine gun players, they couldn't put any pressure on the Red Reserve, so every single time it was just Hockey and Reedy set up middle and back Ruins. basically doing nothing, right? Just holding down angles.
So how do you view that hard point for Epsilon, considering you invested 2 streaks?
Not good. I mean, I guess the one plus is you hold this side of the map, but look where Red Reserve is. They have the backside of bunker now. They're able to get those kills. Yeah, definitely not a good sign for Epsilon.
Well, let's see if they can hold. They're kind of from that less preferred side, at least on the opening here. Right now, just doing a good job contesting at least. And that's one thing you can at least say good about the last hard point, even though it maybe didn't go the way they wanted. They didn't allow Red to get a lot of time.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do that here.
That's a big gunfight right there out of Hockey.
Hockey gets both. He actually finds both kills, spawns them out. Bell, now they drop an artillery on the backside. So that's going to force them now to wrap in through Fire Alley. And look who's ready and waiting. Well, Greedy was ready. Didn't win any of the gunfights, but he's got a lot of help there. It's easy when you have 4 players. You need to worry about 1 alley.
Yeah, I like that artillery strike, right? Get these 30 seconds. Make it a pretty close game. You know, about 20 seconds.
That's another big one-on-one.
Yeah, you have Hockey in a 5 spree. He's earning some streaks. Does get a glide bomb. But now Epsilon within striking distance, right? Only 34 points down as we head over towards that East Road hardpoint. Red Reserve is set up early, but again, this is such a tough one to lock down. It's so hard to get a lot of time just due to the nature of it being right in the middle of the map. No matter what side you're spawning on, you can get a lot of good nades, put a lot of damage on the guy in the hill.
So what started to go wrong for Red? When you take a look at the top right, with just the slang, you know, the time for Joe, why did this game get so much closer?
I think those streaks were a big thing, right? I think a couple of times that Red Reserve broke into Ruin's Hill, there was a couple of streaks waiting for them, right? So they couldn't get set up properly. And then as you head towards that bunker side, Epsilon does break on in. They call the artillery. You basically lose the spawn. Just a solid job by Epsilon and Reedy.
Well, let's see if Red Reserve can survive, you know, kind of this explosion you saw from Epsilon. You know, despite the fact that Epsilon came alive, you know, the lead never really was scary. Like, Red was still in control. It never got that close, so you thought there might be a change. They've kind of held them at a distance. And now they're back in the hard point, getting the remaining time here on East Road, despite the fact they don't really have any cabin control right now. And now let's get back to Cave. Who's inside? It's going to be Reedy that's set up early. He's the guy that's been the kind of the playmaker for this team over this game 4. Bates 0 right to Dave.
Yeah, he definitely has been. You do have Rated locking down this middle alley. I was just saying, big trade out of Hockey. If Rated's able to get in that position, he has so many angles on cabin, but look where Scraps is. He's able to get in the hill. So allow his team. Now Epsilon has to try and cross. You can see shots coming in from Joe. But Hockey's there once again. He was able to come through Fire Alley. Just back and forth. Vortex able to stay alive.
Inside contesting. Both teams just kind of fighting from opposite sides right now. Another one-on-one's going to go the way of Epsilon, but when the grenade trade comes in, Zero's going to be able to get in the hard point. He's going to challenge there at the wood stump. But he won't get the final 15 seconds. Reedy's able to get, what, a bullet or 2 into him. Otherwise, yeah, that's 15 extra points. It gets you right around that 200-point mark.
Yeah, but now look at the minimap. You have all 8 players from both teams trying to get early control over towards Ruins. Epsilon able to find 3. You have Dave in this circle area, in this little U. Nice shots on a 0. But this is where you want your submachine gun guy. You want him pushed out towards those cuts or in that middle U, right? That's where they're going to have the best, you know, opportunity to find multiple kills at a time.
Reedy now trying to get set up in the power position here at top Ruins. Nice shots as he does clean up 1 at mid-cup, but gets traded out almost instantly. Vortex working together with the rest of his squad. They're trying to flood in and get as much as they can going. They're down 33 right now.
See, Dave doesn't have to peek that. That's an over peek out of Dave. You have your 2 ARs watching the cross. Your top Ruins, just stay down, get that time. Now you're in a position where you don't have spawns for bunker. There's 20 seconds left going the way of Red Reserve. That's just a bit of an over challenge, maybe too overconfident from Dave.
Raid will be the last man here. Just get a little bit of time. They also have spawns. This is perfect. I mean, you're at least able to get a couple seconds, contest a little bit. And now, look how far Joe is pushed up through field. Where are they going to pop is the question. Okay, so they will pop deep bunker due to the positioning there of Epsilon. And here we go. This is kind of make or break. This is the game. They've got to get Red Reserve cleared out of here quickly.
Now, I believe Hockey, if we can go over to Hockey, does he still have that glide bomb? No, he doesn't. So he did call that down. So they don't have that to brace. So no streaks on the side of Epsilon.
And they're
in a perfect hold. Yeah, just look how far they are. Pushed up. Joe able to have that multi-kill. He's 35 and 29, leading the slaying category for Red Reserve.
Oh, I think that right there maybe shows you at home why we were kind of excited to see what it would be like having him in this flex role, because we hadn't seen it before. We all had question marks to some degree about him with an AR in his hand, but my God, it's worked out well. Not only is he 35 and 29, leading the slaying advantage, he also has a minute 38 to go in the hard point. He's been playing brilliantly, and we talked about the matchup versus Reedy. Reedy's having a pretty solid game on his side as well, but Vortex is where it really stands out. You know, as Reedy threw that game 1 Hardpoint, Vortex now 17 and 39. He can't get
Vortex,
anything going.
The subs, right? If you look at the side of Red Reserve, Scraps is positive, Zero is positive, right around even.
And this is a hard map for a submachine gun player, especially when you have an AR.
But that's teamwork, right? The subs have to help your ARs have to help your subs get into those certain positions. And it just doesn't seem like Epsilon has that.
All right, so I know it's against Epsilon, and you know, we kind of what we saw from Epsilon, I think, is kind of more of the same in a way. Like it was what we
was a solid game 4, much better.
What we expected. We expected Red to win this series. Just maybe overall grand thoughts about Red Reserve seeing them for the first time on LAN.
Solid. I think in Hardpoint you saw the potential of this team, especially slaying-wise. This is the reason they went with Scraps, was because they wanted to compete with the best slaying teams in the world, right? Your Rises, your Optic Gamings. A lot of the teams in this division where we'll see them face later on.
You don't want to be that team that has to win a Hardpoint while getting outslayed. That's just not sexy. You want to come in and dominate people.
Not sexy.
And now I feel like you have the yeah, with Scraps on the team, it is just that roster that can come and kind of blow people out.
Well, and when you have Joe playing like that, and Joe was always the guy. We saw it in Flat Tower. He can be a guy who can go double negative, triple negative at times. If he's running the flex player or running that flex position, they can play maps like Arden Forest, maps like Gibraltar, and he can put up stats like that. This is going to be a very tough team to beat.
He was excellent there in the game 4, and that's going to be the victory. So 2 teams kind of dealing with some role changes in this to kick off Stage 2 Division A, but Red Reserve are going to come out on top. A team that I think we all agree looks to be the best team in Europe. The question is, can they challenge the top teams in the world? We'll find out over the next couple of weeks. But guys, we'll be right back after this quick break.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to day one here at stage 2 of the Call of Duty World League presented by PlayStation 4. And our first game is in the books. Red Reserve versus Epsilon. Of course, congratulations to Red Reserve there with that victory. It goes the way that both of you kind of predicted, and I'm pretty sure many people at home predicted as well, in, of course, Red Reserve's favor. But I do want to talk a little bit about what we saw in terms of, the role changes, and I want to hear your opinions and thoughts on whether it was successful, at least at first sight. Obviously, they have many, many more games to play, so it's maybe a bit too soon to give the final judgment. But from what you saw in the first match, how do you feeling?
Well, I mean, the two big things for Red Reserve is how Scrap's going to do on the team. First map, he fried. SMD, they looked pretty great. So I think the role swap, granted, against Epsilon, looked pretty good. Or the roster change, excuse me. The other one is going to be that role swap. And for Joe, how's he going to do is the flex. And I think we saw a touch of it on Forest, right? He's just milking up hill time with that SDG. And that's what you want to have. You want an AR player, I think probably on like 85% of the hills in this game, you want an AR player inside. So Joe's going to be that guy. He's the one looking for positioning. It was successful. Again, the point, of course, it was against Epsilon. You expect to be at the bottom of the league. So still a lot for them to prove, but they did look good so far. Definitely
looked like Scraps was very comfortable with the new squad.
Yeah, Scraps played really good. It looked like the Joe and Scraps show in the Hardpoints. They're kind of taking the pressure off Rated and Trey there a little bit on the Hardpoints. And Joe's actually playing really good on that Forest. So if they can keep that up, they can be really good, especially against the top teams. But, how much can we really say playing Epsilon? Epsilon has been, lackluster in the last few months. So. Yeah. But what better match could you ask for out of Scraps in his first match with this team?
Yeah, and then I think the pressure from the subs really kind of shown. Like, if Joe and Scraps are going off, that means Rated just milks uphill time. Like, he had a 1.42 KD, but it's not like he had a lot of kills. There was nothing for him to do. The team around him was doing so well that it's just easy. Like, those are the beautiful games as an AR player. And you can sit back, team's doing all the work, you just hang out, and they end up getting like 3 set of streaks, right? Like, Rated got his set of streaks towards the end. Scraps just was a powerhouse to get his, and then Joe was getting some as well. And obviously, that's just perfection. That's the best possible start that I think Red Reserve could have, like, for this new team.
Yeah, definitely gives them a little bit of comfort, that's for sure. And of course, they have a win under their belt, which is always a fantastic feeling. Obviously, you're talking a little bit about streaks there, Chance. One thing that happened in game 4, the last Hardpoint we saw, was we saw Reedy get some streaks. And we were all kind of watching in the green room. We all kind of said the same thing. You see him invest the first streak, the fighter pilot, as the hill rotates over towards ruins. We're like, yeah, that was a great streak, good. But there was no follow-up to that. What kind of happened there? Why did that not go well?
Yeah, so they're coming from that bunker side, going into the Ruins Hill, and he had a fighter pilot, and he called it in, which was a good play. He called it in at the right time, and his teammates were pushing through Bell, and they were trying to get the exchange kills, and the other team was spawning all the way in the back bridge. So if he called in the artillery barrage and just kind of held off that initial push, they could have got all the time. You didn't see them break into that hill till about 30 seconds left, and it ended up being like they got about 25 seconds off that, and they were able to push through and break spawns for next as well. So I would have liked to see him use that artillery instead of the glide bomb follow-up. I think would have worked out a lot better.
And the huge thing for me as well is, like, I agree. I think they should have done the follow-up. But a lot of teams, normally the fighter pilot's good enough that you can just clear out a hill on your own. But, like, the rest of the pressure for Epsilon wasn't there. Like, they had the opportunity to go and slay him out once again. Because they essentially had the situation where Red Reserve spawned all the way out. And you get those 50-50 gunfights, and Epsilon just doesn't capitalize as a team. They don't capitalize with the streaks. And that's the opportunity to get back into the game. And there was a lot of situations like that for Epsilon, where even in the search and destroy, where it seems like they have an opportunity to finally make a play, accomplish something, and then they just don't.
It was funny because obviously you talk about not using the artillery barrage. When they actually did use the artillery barrage, they put it back bunker, and it almost cost them that entire hill because their teammates weren't actually able to push inside a bunker. But again, congratulations there to Red Reserve. A 3-1 victory over Epsilon. Of course, they take it in that game for Arden Forest Hardpoint, 250 to 158. So far, good things shown from Red Reserve, that's for sure. But I want to move the conversation on over towards the second game of the day. Team Caliber versus